not have my horse right now because it is cold and raining, even though it was like 100 degrees just like 3 days ago, but we're not talking about that. Because it's kind of miserable and wet everywhere, I thought we'd just have a chill chat, literally chill. I have a show coming up this weekend and I will have a video of that next weekend, so if you want to subscribe so you can come back and watch that next weekend every single Sunday, just go ahead and do that. I'll wait for you to subscribe. Did you do it yet? What's taking you so long? Just hit the button. Thank you. That's so kind of you. Anyways, I want to talk about why I think it's important that if you have a horse or have a horse that's your responsibility, that it's important for you to understand and have a well-rounded knowledge of horse anatomy, horse hoof care, health care, training. Even if you're not a professional and you rely on professionals to do this for you, I think it's really important that you have at least a small amount of knowledge about all of these things so that you can take full responsibility and care of your horse and not rely on somebody else or just follow somebody else blindly without knowing what they're talking about and making sure that your horse is in the best care possible, because there are a lot of professionals out there in the vet world, in the horse hoof farrier world and training world that will take advantage of you and don't actually care or know that much about what they are practicing. There's a lot of professionals out there that have only had a small amount of training that shouldn't even qualify but call themselves, anybody can call themselves a trainer, anybody can call themselves a farrier. Even vets will take advantage of you and not put their full heart into your horse when it is your animal. I feel like it's extremely important for you to understand what is going on with your animal and not just have a single opinion on what is going on or what is happening with your horse. When you do your full research online and in book form and just going to clinics or whatever, you're getting multiple different opinions from different professionals and people with tons of experience, people that have put their whole lives into learning about this stuff, and not just one professional's opinion. A lot of professionals are wrong and don't have the horse's best intentions on their mind. A lot of these people are just doing it for the paycheck, and they think a lot of horse owners are just ignorant, and they'll try to make you feel stupid for, thinking that you know better than them or whatever. But if you take the time to educate yourself and get multiple different opinions from reading books and research and clinics or whatever you want to do to figure it out, I think it's really important that you understand what is going on with your horse, what it's supposed to look like, what the proper hoof care looks like, what the proper anatomy of a horse looks like, what a proper frame looks like, what a properly trained horse looks like. All of these things are really important to know and not to just blindly follow a professional and be ignorant in the horse world. There are a lot of farriers out there, and hoof trimming is way more important than a lot of people think it is. A good trim is extremely important and can make your whole horse go lame if it doesn't have a proper hoof trim. So to educate yourself on what a proper angle on the hoof looks like, I really suggest doing a bunch of research on shoes. I know shoes is kind of a sore subject for a lot of horse people. They immediately get really defensive if you say that shoes are bad for horses, but I think it's really important that you take the time to educate yourself on the whole aspect of shoes and really figure out if your horse really needs them or not. I do believe that there are some special cases out there where horses really do need shoes, but there are alternatives out there for different types of shoes instead of metal ones that you have to nail into their feet. It's super invasive on the hoof. When you put a metal shoe on a horse's hoof, it completely takes away all the suspension in their leg, and it's very hard on their ligaments and joints. And a poorly shod horse can definitely make them go lame. And so it's just really important that you know what a proper angle on the hoof looks like, what a proper trim looks like, what a proper shoeing looks like, making sure that your horse actually needs shoes, making sure your horse has the right type of shoes. There's a lot of old school farriers out there that will think that they know everything there is to know, and they just throw that shoe on the horse and come back 3 months later and that horse's foot is completely messed up, and they just keep doing the same thing over and over until your horse is eventually lame. So make sure you educate yourself really well in hoof care. Training is another huge aspect, whether the trainer is training you or the horse. There's so much great information online from so many different trainers that you can go follow and watch and subscribe to and read their books or whatever. So many different opinions on different types of horses and just the whole element of how the horse's brain works. So if you're new to horses and you just got yourself a horse and you wanted to go to some lessons, you're only getting one opinion on how to train a horse. There's a million different trainers out there and they all train differently, they all have different opinions. Some will train borderline abusively, in my opinion, where they're just training very aggressively and not paying attention to what the horse needs. On the flip side, there's other trainers that will take years and tons of time to just develop a good groundwork, which is like better, but it doesn't have to take that long. So if you really just are looking for the best relationship for you and your horse, just take the time to gather all of the information that's free and available out there for you. And if you have a teacher that's telling you to get a more aggressive bit, bigger spurs, harder on the whip, whatever they're telling you, that is a big red flag, and definitely go do your research, maybe find a different trainer, whatever. Because if they're thinking that you need more control, you really just need to go back to the basics and really get a better foundation on your relationship and your control of your horse, because that's where the problem is, not with the equipment. Learning the anatomy of the horse is extremely important. Knowing what a proper posture is for a horse, also extremely important. Knowing how to fit a saddle, even if you don't know like extremely well. If you just have a small amount of knowledge on how to fit a saddle, where the saddle is supposed to lie in the horse's back, how much weight a horse is able to carry, when a horse is old enough and mature enough to be able to handle being ridden, all of those things, it's extremely important. If you're able to tell your horse doesn't have great posture, maybe you can narrow it down to a bad hoof trim. Maybe you can narrow it down to pain in the back. Because a lot of times vets don't even tell you that your horse looks off, looks lame. I've seen so many horses being ridden that have great vet care and they are lame and in pain. They have poor fitting saddles, they have poor hoof trim. I know there are poor vets and there are good vets, and it depends how you get one, but you don't know what kind of vet your vet is unless you are well knowledgeable in the equine world. To get multiple different opinions from different vets and other professionals is really important, and not just rely on one vet, because there are good vets and there are bad vets and you don't know the difference unless you are educated. I don't want to discredit anybody, any professional, any person that has spent their life studying these things. I know there's a lot of good professionals out there, obviously, but like I said, there's also a bunch of really bad ones that are just out there for the money and not out there for the good of the horse. It's your horse. You're responsible for it. You could save yourself a lot of money if you could catch these things early. The lameness, the bad hoof trimming, the saddle fitting, the training, all of these things can lead to a lame horse that will need tons of treatment and care and supplements or whatever. So understanding these things and catching them early could save you a bunch of money, and not just relying on professionals, because, I mean, also, you're the one always around the horse. You're the one studying it, you're the one with your hands all over all the time, feeling these things, and if you know what you're looking for, you can find the abnormal things before it's too late. You can catch a bad hoof trim before your horse is lame. You can understand that your saddle's not fitting before the horse has major back issues. You can understand that aggressive training is not working for your horse, and you can try to fix those things before your horse has chronic bucking issues or whatever. So that's why I think it's really important to just get yourself well-rounded and well-knowledgeable about all of the aspects of owning a horse, whether it's hoof care, health, saddle fitting, training, all of the above. The horse is your responsibility. In the end, if something happens to your horse, whether you're riding it lame, whether you're riding in a poor saddle, whether you're riding with poor training techniques, it's all your fault, and you need to do better. It's your horse, your responsibility. Like I said, you need to be well educated. You can't just rely on professionals to do your job for you and take care of your horse. Educate yourself. Do some research. Buy some books. There's so much free knowledge out there to know what you're dealing with. If you're a little bit educated, then you know when you have a good farrier, you know when you have a good vet, you know when you have a good saddle fitter, you know when you have a good trainer, all of these things. And if you educate yourself enough, you might not need all of those things. You might be able to do your own hoof trimming. You might be able to do your own saddle fitting. You might be able to do your own massage care, whatever. It does take a long time to learn all these things, obviously, but if you are a horse person, most likely you're going to be holding horses for a very long time. So might as well get educated and get hands-on with these things and learn how to do it yourself, because again, they're your horses, they're your responsibility. If you harm your horse in any way, whether it's training, saddle fitting, etc., it's your fault. Get educated. I don't want to be controversial at all. There are so many opinions in the horse world that if you say something that somebody else doesn't agree with, they will jump down your throat and make you feel bad, and you're a bad horse trainer, blah blah blah, you should just rely on professionals, you're stupid, blah 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 blah. That's not true. You own horses, you should be smart. But I'm going to be controversial right now because a lot of people frown on being natural with horse care, but I do think it's extremely important, again, to educate yourself on the natural realm of horse care, because, again, people like vets, well, they are out there for your horse's benefit. Sometimes they are also sponsored by people like dog food brands, and vets will tell you that dog food is great for your dog, when if you do your research, you'll understand, you'll realize that dog food is terrible for your dog. So why is your vet telling you that dog food is good for your dog when it's clearly not? Well, it's because they're being paid by dog food brands to sell dog food. So how many other things are they being sponsored by that they're selling you that isn't actually that good for your horse? There's probably a lot of them. Once you start understanding this and you realize that vets aren't always out for your benefit, then you start digging into the more natural realm of care, and I really suggest and support people who do that, because it takes a lot of bravery, because there's a lot of mean people in the horse world that will judge you for it, but it's you trying to do your best and trying to raise healthy animals. So kudos to you if you're trying to be natural. If you're not trying to be natural, I believe that you're still trying to do your best, but again, just educate yourself on everything that you're giving your horse, all the supplements you're giving your horse, all of the care. Just make sure that you're doing your best, and I support you. It's not easy being a horse person in this horse world. You get a lot of judgment. As long as we're trying to do our best and we have our horse's best interest in mind, then we're good. We're all good. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video if you liked it. I post new videos every single Sunday, and you can also go follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And I'll see you guys next week Sunday with a show vlog. Yay! Hopefully we do good. Okay, bye.